Hi, I'm going to take you through the key features and functionality of Policy Express. Policy Express sits in SharePoint and it sits in your SharePoint environment. So I've come in here to our Policy Hub, and the first step is creation. So the place I do that is in our Document Masters. Document Masters is where the Word versions of all your policies, procedures, and other controlled documents sit. Now we can start with a new one by clicking New and use one of your templates, or we can upload it from maybe a file share, if that's what you're using, or copy it from a different SharePoint site. Now here's one I've created earlier, which I'm dragging into our commercial department. Just by dragging over the top, we've already started to set some of the metadata. Now we do need to set some other metadata as well, and this is going to help us with both search, with workflow, and also understanding the ownership of a document. Now we've got a type here called policy. Other types are available, and this will be configured as part of your onboarding process. We're going to put an owner in here. We can support multiple owners if that's what's needed. And now we have keywords as well. So let's put a keyword in, and this is going to help us with search further down the line. This is a compliance document, and press apply. And then the final thing we're going to do is choose the workflow. In this case, we're going to go for the default workflow. And we're going to close that out by pressing save at the bottom. Now with this information, we're able to generate a document number automatically. So let's give that a second and see where that appears. As you can see, the document number's now appeared. So it's got a prefix of a company name, C for commercial, P for policy, and then the next sequential number in the sequence. It's now ready to send for approval. So we choose the document, click on the three ellipses and click send for publish/approve. In this case, we've got a two-stage approval process, and we're allowing multiple approvers. As part of this process, we can define should it be first past the post or everyone needs to sign it. Now these approvers are going to change based on the department. As you might expect, people who approve a financial document could be different to those who approve an HR document. Now what that's done is sent an email to my inbox to ask me to approve a document. Let's go and have a look. So I've now gone into my Outlook inbox and I can see I've got this document for approval. I can click on the link here, which is going to open the document, but in this case, I'm going to go straight to approve. I'm going to click approve and hit submit. The nice thing about this is the email gets updated automatically to reflect when I've actually submitted it. So if I come back to this email, I've got that record. Now let's consider publishing. From an end user perspective, I want to be able to find policies quickly and easily. One of the ways we can do that is through this landing page here, where we've highlighted some of the key departments and groups of policies. I'm going to click on the HR policy, and as you can see here, I've already filtered by department. I've got keywords and I've got document types. Let's filter on leave, for example. Now we have a list of 3 documents, and that's probably something I can work with. There's another way to find documents is by using our AI search, PolicyBot. PolicyBot indexes only the published policies and allows people to use natural language to find the policy they're looking for. In this case, we searched for what is a remote working policy, and as you can see, it's brought up our home working policy, so same meaning but different words, and that's the advantage of AI, and it's also pointed to the actual policy where the detail is. We also have an option of follow-on questions here too. Now it might be that some of the policies that you have that maybe need promoting, so we have a way of doing that too. I'm now in my published policies. I can select a policy, and what I'm going to do is create a news article about it. So I click the ellipses, click create news article, and we give that a second, and it's going to go and create a draft article. Now, we might want to tweak this to meet our specific needs, but this gives you a great starting point because no one likes starting with a blank piece of paper. So here's a preview of our environmental policy news article. Let's click create news article. And now, if you're familiar with SharePoint, this is a standard news article which you can then go and edit and has a link back to that policy. A great way to search and show people what's going on and keep them updated about your policies. Now let's move on to acknowledgement or attestation. If we take a published policy, we want someone to sign it. That's very simple. We simply bring up a list of policies, choose a policy, and click on the 3 dots which say request for acknowledgement. Now we can use a group here. I'm going to use the sales group. And I'm going to put a date in the future. Now by clicking that submit button, it's going to send an email to everyone in that group asking them to acknowledge this document. They're going to receive an email, and with that email it takes them a link to the acknowledgement app. We can also go straight to that app from the Policies Hub too. As you can see here, here's some examples of some that we've set up earlier for environmental policy. I can check that box and press confirm, and now that policy has been acknowledged. Let's also consider feedback as well. Feedback's really simple too. I can go into our search pane here and simply click Give Feedback. What that's going to do is load up an app which lets somebody submit feedback. That feedback is going to be sent both to the policy owner but also to the administrator of the system, so you've got that overarching view. And this is all logged within SharePoint. Now, final stage of a policy lifecycle is review. Review is going to send reminders 90 days, 60 days and 30 days out from when a policy is going to expire. It's also going to send reminders once that policy has expired. Now you can see here from this list that this policy is already expired, so that's probably something that we want to address and get on top of. The other way we can do that is also by looking at the review date. So let's do that. So you can see the next review date here. I have a quick filter here, and I can see what's due in 30 days. It's going to highlight anything which is overdue, but also things which are coming up to due as well. So I can really focus on the exceptions. Now the last piece of a puzzle is what I call the monitor stage. This is where we have a dashboard written in Power BI, which is going to give you the data you need to manage your policies. Our dashboard is hosted in Power BI, sits in your environment again, and what it's going to do is give us an overview, but we can also drill down into various elements by clicking on maybe one of these segments here. We're going to change the data and focus it on compliance in this example. We can also look at something like orphan documents. Orphan documents are those policies where the owner no longer exists and you need to reassign it. I hope you found Policy Express useful. Any other questions, do get in touch or book a meeting with me using the link.